And she's going to be a behavioral reset.
Okay, thank you. So we'll reset her until tomorrow, the 6th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And let's see, who do we have in courtroom 2?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. In front of you, we have position number 1, Mr. Maurice Barnes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Barnes. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000061G with simple assault, family violence, and simple battery, family violence. Good afternoon, Ms. Harvey. Is there a history?
Good afternoon, Judge. This is the first arrest.
Okay. And who's presenting for the state?
That would be me, Judge.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Hollins.
Good afternoon, Judge. This is a simple assault, family violence, and simple battery, family violence charge that stemmed from an incident that occurred on January 4th, 2023. The defendant was or found out that his son, a minor VB, purchased a marijuana vape pen. And as a result, defendant told his minor son to give him the pen, in which he did. The defendant then took the minor's phone from his room, and an argument ensued between the defendant and the minor. Defendant eventually got hold of a taser and attempted to use it while walking towards the minor. However, the batteries were dead. So as a result, it did not work. There was a discrepancy in the unofficial police report that we obtained. And as a result, we don't know if the simple battery family violence is going to apply to this defendant. However, the simple assault family violence with the taser is going to be what we are making a recommendation with a surety on. I don't have any history from the defendant, and the recommendation for the count 1 is going to be $3,000 surety. On count 2, a $3,000 signature bond, and no further violent contact, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
What is the son's name?
Victor Barnes, VICTOR Barnes.
And no further violent contact is requested by the state?
Yes, Your Honor. As I understand, the minor does have quite a few mental deficiencies, if I may. And so unless I have any other reason to believe otherwise, I don't think there's a reason for a no further contact.
Right. If it's okay with Ms. Gant, there's going to be a $2,000 signature bond for both counts, making a total of a $4,000 signature bond. No further violent contact with the minor Victor Barnes, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor, no objections. Thank you.
All right.
Is
Good luck
that
to you.
through the jail or pre-trial?
It's through the jail. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Bridgewater.
you. Thank you.
Good luck to you, Mr. Barnes.
I didn't get the amount, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
It's a $2,000 signature bond through the jail for both charges, for each charge. So a total of a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. And I have a note from Public Defender Woodbury that she needs to speak to a number of people this afternoon. So if Zachary, Willis, and Petty will need to somehow arrange for her to speak with those people, if they're, I'm not sure if they're in courtroom 2 or if they're somewhere else, but just so that you all know that.
Yeah, Your Honor, I seen it. We on it. Those are all females.
Okay. Let's see, are they at the AAC DC South Annex?
I believe so. I'm
Okay,
gonna give them a call.
if they're on with us, I'd like for her to go ahead and do that while we are proceeding. If she doesn't have any, if we can do her cases that are not in courtroom 2 so that we can not waste any time.
And yeah, Your Honor, if I may, I also have 2 that I need to interview as well. One is Jasmine Canty, position number 2. She may very well be at South Annex. And the other is position number I believe it's position 5, Mr. Trammell Howell.
Okay.
I do need to interview him, and the jail is aware.
Okay, thank you. Who do we have next?
Next, we're gonna go to position number 3, Mr. Shepherd.
Good afternoon, Mr. Checker. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Checker, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000063E with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No, Your Honor, first arrest.
Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge, this is a simple battery family violence charge that stemmed from an incident that occurred January 4th, 2023 at the incident location of 13085 Morris Road, apartment 11302 in Milton, Georgia. The victim, Ms. Dara Shah, called the police because the defendant had kissed her without her permission and ended up blocking her from returning back into her bedroom. They are roommates. After our victim advocate spoke with Ms. Shah at some point this morning, she informed her that he has made inappropriate passes at her in prior instances and has also made unwanted physical contact, such as hugging her, kissing her. And this particular day that he was arrested, she was actually just fed up. It had been going on since October, and she was fed up and actually called the police. Again, she does currently live with him, and this definitely poses a risk of becoming a repeat incident. She is on the line, or I'm sorry, on the Zoom call. We're recommending a $3,000 surety, no further contact, a stay away from the incident location, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Okay, Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Karthik Cheka is 29 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 8 months. He states that he relocated here from Dallas, Texas for employment. He is currently employed in IT. He has a master's degree in computer science. Mr. Cheka informed me that he and Ms. Shaw were dating at one point, Your Honor, and that this is a misunderstanding. At this time, he does not want to continue having contact with her. He is okay with relocating elsewhere to live. We are asking for a signature bond on Mr. Cheka's behalf. He does not have any prior history, Your Honor. We would also ask for a one-time law enforcement escort so that he can retrieve any belongings. And again, we are unopposed to any stay away and no contact conditions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Shaw, now is your opportunity to address the court if you choose to. You do not have to, but if you would like to address the court, you will have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll need to swear you in.
Thing that he said that it was
Okay,
dating.
hold on, Ms. Shaw. Can you raise your right hand for me? Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I understand.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
So we were never dating each other. We were never dating. It was just a friendship. We were just friends with each other. We were roommates.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so he's not going to be able to have any contact with you, and he is not going to be able to reside at the 13085 Morris address. Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be, if nothing further, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Dara Shaw. Stay away from the 13085 Morris Road address, apartment 11. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 4, Mr. Howard. Ms. Hoggle.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hagerbrook. My name is Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
You've been charged in case 23 CR 00064A with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
One prior arrest, October 6, 2021, out of Atlanta, Georgia for terroristic threats and acts. Defendant took a no-low plea and nothing further.
Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge, this is a criminal trespass incident that occurred on January 4th, 2023 at the 5 Points MARTA station. A defendant was seen rolling a green substance in a brown leaf, and when approached by an officer, it was found to be marijuana, and a search incident to arrest found a baggie of marijuana, and additionally showed that the defendant was criminally trespassed from that particular MARTA or from MARTA on December 2nd, 2022, with a suspension that went into an effect 3 days prior to her arrest. And that goes until March 2nd, 2023. We are aware of the recent terrorist threats and acts charge. We are recommending a $500 surety, which is what she already has currently, compliance with the MARTA suspension that is currently in place, and then no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, abide by any MARTA suspensions, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on jail. Ms. Hogg, is that fine with you, Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor, and I did place her updated mailing address in the chat to Ms. Bridgewater.
Okay, and Ms. Hagerbrook, I'm going to let you out on the signature bond, but you're going to have to make sure to show up for your next hearing date, okay?
Okay, when is it?
You'll be mailed notice, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. Don't go back tomorrow, okay?
I won't.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank
You
you.
too, thank you.
Your Honor, was the possession of marijuana, was that NOD?
It was NOD'd. I've sent everything to the jail team and all the other email addresses.
Thank you. Next, we have position number 7, Mr. McClendon.
Good afternoon, Mr. McClendon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. McClendon, you've been charged in case 23 CR 00055G with simple battery. Good afternoon, Ms. Salette. Ms. Harvey, is there a history?
I'm showing one cycle, Your Honor, for failure to appear. Also for robbery, defendant appears to be on probation. Sentenced December 6, 2022 to 5 years probation. That's out of Fulton County. It appears to be on the first offender as well, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Ms. Salette?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. On January 4th, 2023, at 225 Hamilton E. Holmes Drive, that's Douglas High School, CCTV footage showed a physical altercation between the defendant and a Paris Knight, that's Paris, Knight, Knight. Another student attempted to intervene in the altercation, but it did continue down the hallway, and the defendant and the victim both ended up on the ground. At some point, the victim attempted to walk away and end the altercation, but the defendant followed her and struck her in the back of her head and upper body area. Neither party had any physical injuries, or I'm sorry, visible injuries. And as stated, the defendant does have a prior FTA arrest and was placed on first offender probation for 5 years on December 6, 2022. He was also in custody for that charge from November 16th, 2021 to October 6th of 2022. And just a few months later, he has picked up an additional charge here. I can't recall if pretrial stated what the charges were. He was initially arrested on for armed robbery, ag assault, and hijacking, but pled to robbery under first offender. Due to the nature of the charges and his history, the state is going to be requesting a $4,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, and 1-day anger awareness. The state does feel like this is reasonable. We do understand that he's only 18 years old, but he's not starting out on the right foot, just been placed on probation and picked up a new charge. Nothing further from the state at this time.
Ms. Woodbury?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. McClendon, as the state said, is 18 years old. He's a high school student at Frederick Douglass High School. He does hope to graduate from high school. He hopes to go into a career in construction. Judge, we're not going to get into the facts too much, but we do believe there may have been some threats made against him that may have provoked his actions in this case. Judge, he cannot pay a surety bond because he's a student with no income. He tells me he's going to be residing with his grandmother. We would ask for a signature bond today.
Do you have his grandmother's name?
Yes, Judge, it's Cynthia Webb.
And do you know what grade he's in?
I believe he's in the 12th grade, Your Honor.
All right. It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. He's to have no further violent contact with Paris Knight. I take it that she's also a high school student at Douglass High School. He's to have a curfew of 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. He is to reside with his grandmother, Cynthia Webb. He is to attend school on a daily basis until he graduates or this case is resolved, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Mr. McClendon, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Did you have something to say, Ms. Woodbury?
Well, Judge, I just want to make the court aware, he did tell me there was a 10-day suspension in place. So I guess he would attend school, he would resume school once that's resolved.
Once he is able to go back to school, he is to go back to school on a daily basis.
Thank you, Judge.
So Mr. McClendon, I'm going to allow you to sign your own bond and get out because I prefer that you attend school rather than sit there in jail. But if you violate any of these bond conditions, you're going to be right back where you are, and I'm not going to give you this opportunity next time. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. McClendon.
Thank you, Judge.
Welcome.
Next, we have position number 11, Michael Thompson, AKA Michael Johnson, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You've been charged in case 23 CR 000067A with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. Defendant has a total of 13 cycles. A 2006 felony conviction for burglary. A 2008 battery conviction. 2008 felony conviction for willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and criminal damage to property in the second degree. Parole violation and probation violation from 2009. Theft by receiving stolen property felony conviction from 2009, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, 2009. Probation violation from 2010. Driving without a valid license from 2010. Theft by receiving stolen property, felony conviction, and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, 2010. Burglary conviction from 2012, as well as a FTA. Burglary conviction from 2013. Probation violation, 2013. Unlawful for inmate to possess or control substance, drugs, or dangerous weapon, 2013 conviction, that's Douglas County. Riot in a Penal Institute out of Tatnall County, 2019. Unlawful to participate in criminal street activity, 2019. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Yeah, Ms. Select.
Yes, Your Honor. On January 4th, 2022, Officer C responded to 330 Brownlee Road, apartment 12 in Atlanta in reference to a domestic dispute. Upon arrival, the officer met with the Miss Stanlecia Johnson, and that's spelled Stanlecia. Miss Johnson stated that her live-in boyfriend had attacked her and punched her in the face. Officers could observe a laceration to her lip. And police were called earlier in the day about the attack, but no one showed up. Or actually the defendant had fled prior to law enforcement showing up. Officer C was able to pull up that earlier police report from that day. Later on that night, police were called out again, and the defendant had struck the victim upon her head and her hand, causing her to have swelling to her hand. Officers noted considerable swelling upon the defendant's left hand that was consistent with blunt force trauma. Fire Engine 9 came out to the scene and suggested that Ms. Johnson go to Grady due to her hand, the severity of the injuries. They stated that her hand might be broken, and we don't have confirmation of that yet. That's why that case is still down here in state court. And at that time, Ms. Johnson informed officers that the defendant was still inside the residence, and at that time he was detained. We were able to locate some previous incident reports in the victim and the defendant. On December 16, 2022, the victim reported to APD that the defendant had stepped on her neck with a steel toe boot. On January 3rd, 2022, the victim also reported to officers that the defendant had taken her cell phone and purse and slammed her head into the concrete. Those other two incidences, she didn't have any visible injuries, but this time around, because she did have visible injuries and he was on the scene, officers did take out warrants for his arrest. Your Honor, the state does have concerns about the defendant's history. He has several felony convictions. Specifically, he has a conviction for battery, ag assault, riot in a penal institution. So he has shown a history of violence. Not only a history of violence, he's also shown a history of violence against this victim, with her making several reports against the defendant. So the state would argue that he does pose a risk of reoffending and that he is a danger to the community and the property of others. I did hear a previous FTA arrest as well, so he does pose a risk of not appearing for court in the future. Due to that, at this time, the state is going to be requesting a $10,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. Nothing further from the state at this time.
Good afternoon, Ms. McLeod.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mr. Thompson is 34 years old. He is the father of three children, two 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. He denies that he struck the complaining witness, Your Honor. He does acknowledge that we're having an argument, but he says that any injuries that she may have or which the police officers saw, they were not inflicted by him, Your Honor. I do acknowledge that he does have some history. He tells me that he is employed. He has been employed at CKS Packaging for the past several months. He does not make a lot of money, Your Honor. $10,000 cash a $10,000 bond is a very high sum for him. He would not be able to post that bond, Your Honor. So I'm asking the court to consider giving him a more reasonable bond so he can get out of jail and get back to work. He tells me that he no longer lives with the complaining witness. He has an address which he's given me, which is his grandmother's address, and which is where he intends to stay going forward, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. It's going to be a $5,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Johnson. Stay away from the Brownlee Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Who do we have next?
Yeah. Your Honor, I'm waiting for courtroom 3 to leave.
Okay,
The female is still interviewing here, but in courtroom 3.
okay, thank you.
Ms. Bridgewater,
Yes,
what's the SAP reset date again? I'm sorry, I know you said it.
that's okay. It's the 19th
Okay,
of
thank you.
January. You're welcome. I'm sorry, the judge just didn't tell you loud enough. I told him, but it wasn't loud enough.
Ms. Bridgewater wants to play this afternoon.
Your Honor,
Yes,
Mr. McClendon wants to say something to you, but I think he should talk to his attorney first.
I agree. Mr. McClendon, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. A lot of times people think that what they say is going to help them, and it doesn't. Who is representing Mr. McClendon?
It's Miss Woodbury, but
She's on the
the
phone.
female.
Okay, so let's give Ms. Woodbury an opportunity to get off the phone, and then I'll come back to you, Mr. McClendon, okay?
And- Your Honor, I received a notification from ASG Ian Walker about a case that was on SAP that might be on SEA today. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, it was Mr. Fanning. He was Christopher Fanning.
Yes.
His counsel left before the SAP calendar was over, and Mr. Fanning was still there. He was given an offer that would have released him from custody today. So I didn't want him to sit there if he didn't have to. Do you have an announcement regarding that, Ms. Salet?
I don't have an announcement, but I'm prepared if the defense has been able to talk to him, I'm prepared to do either a bond hearing or a plea.
Okay, this was, let's see, Mr. Jordan, are you with me? I know this was Mr. Doaz's case.
Your Honor, are you going to need him physically here in the courtroom or no?
I'm not sure as of yet, because I don't know if his counsel is going to be with us, and if not, we'll just have to reset him. Mr. Jordan, have we heard from Mr. Dodez?
I haven't heard anything, Judge. I'll check with him and see. Was he supposed to be on this calendar?
Yes, I reset him to this calendar because Mr. Dodez left early and he still had a case that had not been resolved. And I didn't want Mr. Fanning sitting in jail.
I'll give him a call.
If he did not have to. Yeah, would you mind calling him for me? And
Will do.
thank you.
Judge Moore, he said that he still didn't get a chance to interview him because they couldn't locate him at the jail. So he was just asking to have it reset to next Thursday.
Okay, I don't want to reset it that far out, Mr. Jordan. Can we reset that for next Tuesday instead of
Okay, I'll
next
put it on.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Because Mr. Lett, it's my understanding that he has a time served offer, right, Mr. Lett?
That's correct. He's also being held on a felony case as well. He has a $20,000 bond on that one too, just so you're aware.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, then it's next Thursday is fine, Mr. Jordan. Thank you.
Okay, that was Christopher Fanning.
Yeah, he was number 13 on the SAP calendar today. Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So I guess I don't need him, huh, Your Honor?
Oh, no, thank you. We don't. I appreciate it.
All right.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
How you doing, sir? My name is Dexter Hamlet. I received a call from, I believe, a prosecutor earlier this morning, and I was told to join the Zoom meeting call for a meeting with Maya Willis.
All right, who's
And
is
I
this?
was- my name is
Stand back.
Dexter Hamlet, sir.
Stand back. She's in courtroom 3. We're gonna get around to her shortly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and tell me your name again, sir.
My name is Dexter Hamlet.
Okay, we'll be with you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think he's a victim in the case. It was his property. Judge.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bridgewater.
The females are done interviewing here in courtroom 3. Are we ready to roll?
Yes, I believe that's what we were waiting on. So ready when council's ready. Who do we have? And well, before we go, courtroom 2, I know that Mr. McClendon, thank you, had a question, and Ms. Woodbury, I wanted you to be able to address him. I didn't know if it had something to do with the curfew or what it had to do with, but if you want to speak with him, I'm happy to give you that opportunity.
Thank you, Judge. I apologize. I was on the phone.
No, you don't, no apologies necessary. I understand.
Ms. Woodbury, can you call extension 22391? He'll be waiting by the phone. 22391 extension.
Okay.
All right.
And do we have, let's see, any of, while Ms. Woodbury is doing that, do we have any of Ms. Gant's cases that are ready in courtroom 3?
Ms. Canty is ready, courtroom 3.
And Your Honor, I have my other client, Ms. Rusk. She has waived personal appearance.
Oh, okay, all right. So we could have done that during the break, had I known. That's fine. Tell me again, who do we have in courtroom 3?
Canty, position 2.
Okay, and
Ms.
who's
Gant
represent?
is on the phone with the client.
Oh, Ms. Gant's on the line? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so it looks like we're waiting for the 2 public defenders. Let's go ahead and do Ms. McLeod's case that had the waiver. What case is that, Ms. McLeod?
It's Ms. Rusk, Your Honor. I think it's
Position 10. Okay, and you filed a formal waiver of appearance?
Yes, I've sent it to Ms. Bridgewater.
And I have it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Harvey, is there a history?
No, Your Honor, this is the first arrest.
And let's see, who's presenting? Oh, Ms. Slett?
Yes, Your Honor. On January 4th, 2023, officers were dispatched to 3440 Boulder Park Drive, apartment 207. Upon arrival, they made contact with the Mr. James Reed, the defendant, and a Jamaica Ross. Jamaica is spelled Gemika, and Ms. Ross advised that she and her girlfriend, the defendant, were in a verbal altercation that turned physical. Ms. Ross advised that she was retrieving her belongings from the incident location when the defendant took her PlayStation, snatched it, and threw it down the stairs of the apartment complex, damaging the console. Ms. Ross then advised that she was heading into the apartment again. The defendant followed her and attacked her by punching her and scratching her in the face. At that time, Ms. Ross did defend herself. Miss Ross did sustain scratches, and the defendant also had a scratch to the right side of her forehead as a result of the victim defending herself. In the report, it does state that the defendant told officers that the victims, Mr. James Reed, who was present, had a firearm and pointed at her, but the defendant's own sister stated that that was false, and that a gun was never pointed at her sister. The defendant does not have any history, Your Honor, but due to the nature of the charges as being a family violence case, we do know what occurs during the cycle of violence. The state is going to be recommending a $3,500 surety bond, $3,000 on the battery, and $500 on the criminal trespass. No contact with the victim, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a one-day anger awareness. Nothing further from the state at this time.
And stay away?
I did not ask for a stay away, Your Honor, because it seems like the victim was moving out when this incident occurred.
That's my client's residence, Your Honor. Her name is the only one on the list.
Okay, and Miss Ross was moving out of that residence, is that right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, as such, it's going to be for the battery, a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. For the criminal trespass, a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Ross or Mr. Reed, I guess. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. McLeod?
It does, Your Honor, but I just wanted to put a couple of things on the record. My client denies that the PlayStation belonged to the complaining witness. In fact, she tells me that the warrant is incorrect in that the PlayStation was a gift from the complaining witness to my client. She wanted to make that clear. So, it was her property that she threw. It was not the complaining witness's property. And she also said that the gentleman who was there did in fact pull a weapon. He just didn't point the weapon at her. And she just wanted to make that clear. My client is a CDL driver. She has no kind of history at all of any violence or anything, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have any further business this afternoon, Ms. McLeod?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, and it appears that we're still waiting for the public defender, so. Oh, there we go.
I'm ready to proceed, Judge.
Okay, do we need to address Mr. McClendon at all?
No, Your Honor, I was able to clear up his question.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Who do we have in courtroom 3?
Well, it was it's Miss Canton, but is Miss Gack ready?
I don't believe. Okay, so can we go to one of Miss Woodbury's clients, please?
Position 12, Willis.
Good afternoon, Ms. Willis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Willis, you've been charged in case 23 CR 0000060D with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
This is the first arrest, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Select?
Yes, Your Honor. On September 19th, 2022, officers responded to a dispute call at 1355 Gideon's Drive in Atlanta. Upon arrival, officers met with the defendant, and upon speaking with the defendant, Ms. Willis told them that she had been living at that location, which is the victim's mother's address. The victim's name is Dexter Hamler. That's spelled Dexter, Hamler, Hamler. She stated that morning that her and the victim had gotten into a verbal dispute, and Mr. Hamler's mother told him to leave the location so that he could cool down. Ms. Willis alleges that Mr. Hamler damaged her Apple Watch and tires as a result of their dispute. And so once she saw that he damaged her items, at that point, she did set fire to his sneakers and did admit to officers to damaging Mr. Hamler's shoes. Due to the defendant not having any history and this kind of being in retaliation to what Mr. Hamler did, the state is recommending a $4,000 signature bond, no contact with the victim in this case, Dexter Hamler, stay away from the incident location, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a one-day anger awareness. We do have concerns about her using fire because this could have, risen to the level of felony arson. But due to her not having any history, that's going to be the state's recommendation at this time.
Ms. Woodbury?
Yes, Judge, we're in agreement with the state's recommendation for a signature bond here. This is her first arrest. She's gainfully employed as a security officer. Judge, she tells me she moved from the location. She no longer resides there, so the stay away shouldn't be an issue. We would ask for no further violent contact, and that's all.
Mr. Hamler, if you would like to address the court at this point, this is your opportunity to do so.
Judge, we can't hear you. You're muzzled.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I must be too far away. Mr. Hamler, this is your opportunity to address the court if you would like to do that. If you would like to address the court, you're not required to, but if you would like to, you'll have to unmute yourself and activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in.
Yes, Judge, I'm here. 1 second. Yes, sir.
Okay, can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Before you speak, Mr. Hamler, Ms. Salette, was Mr. Hamler charged with anything as a result of this incident?
I do believe that there have been warrants taken out.
Okay, so Mr. Hamler, what I want to advise you is that, if there is, this is being recorded, there are solicitors here. I know that there was an altercation. Anything that you say while you're under oath can be used against you. So I just want you to be advised of that before you speak, okay? There's solicitors here that are listening to what you have to say in regards to this matter, so.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay, would you like to address the court?
Yes, I would.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, everything that Ms. Salette said that happened on September 19th, that happened just that way. That morning, we got into a kind of heated debate. We weren't seeing eye to eye with everything, and one thing led to another. So yes, it did end up playing so where damaged some properties of hers, and it led to her doing the same to mine.
Are you all still together?
No, sir, we were not. At this moment, we were not together. As of today, no, but around that time, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Hamler.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Mr. Hamler. Stay away from the Gideon's Drive address, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Willis.
Position 8, Petty.
Good afternoon, Ms. Petty. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
You, Judge.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 23 CR 000056F with battery in a public transit vehicle or station. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Multi-state offender, Your Honor, 8 total cycles, arrests out of Georgia, New Jersey, and New York. Out of New Jersey, there's a 2002 conviction for simple assault, a 2002 larceny out of New York. The last arrest was out of Clayton County, December 12th of this year for terroristic threats and acts. No disposition listed, Your Honor. That case appears to be an open case. Nothing further to add.
Hey, Ms. Salette?
Yes, Your Honor. On August 24th, 2022, Mark Stallworth, that's spelled Stallworth, reported he was assaulted by the defendant aboard the train leaving Hamilton E. Holmes MARTA station. Officers made contact with Mr. Stallworth at Wellstar Atlanta Medical Center. Officers observed bleeding from the defendant's face, arms, and neck due to the defendant punching, scratching, and biting him. Mr. Stallworth stated that he and the defendant are in a relationship and that the defendant was upset and accused him of talking to another woman. Officers reviewed the CCTV surveillance footage of railcar 207 and observed the incident on camera. Mr. Stallworth's statements matched the CCTV surveillance footage and warrants were taken out at that time. Although I did not see any convictions for her violent arrest, she does have a 2011 battery that was dead docketed for compliance, another 2011 battery that was dead docketed as well, and then the 2014 battery family violence that was dismissed due to diversion compliance. She does have a felony terroristic threats pending. That incident did occur in 2017, but she was just arrested for it in December of 2022 out of Clayton County. All of her arrests in Georgia have been violent in nature, and this incident is no different. So at this time, the state is going to be requesting a $3,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, comply with any MARTA suspensions, and a one-day anger awareness. The state has concerns about her violent arrest history and her picking up a new charge as well. Nothing further from the state at this time.
Have you had the opportunity, your office, to speak with Mr. Stallworth?
Our office has not had a chance to speak with him, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Woodbury?
Yes, Judge, thank you. So I will highlight for the court that this is an older case. It's alleged to have happened in August. Miss Petty is not a convicted felon, and I did not hear any failures to appear in that recitation of her history, so we do know that she will come to court. Judge, she is not currently employed, but she did have an interview with Bojangles this week. She tells me that she has 3 kids. She's been in Georgia for the last 13 years. And she tells me that she is not in contact with Mr. Stallworth. We're not going to comment on the facts at this point. She would maintain her innocence at this point.
Okay. It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Mr. Stallworth. Stay away from Mr. Stallworth's residence. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Petty.
We got position number 5, Mr. Tremel Howell, Your Honor, position 5.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Howell. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Howell, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000065J with battery substantial physical harm. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
12 cycles out of Florida, 6 cycles out of Georgia. 2010 conviction for possession of marijuana. That was a misdemeanor conviction. Felony conviction from 2012 out of DeKalb County. Aggravated assault and robbery. Out of Florida, there's a 2006 conviction for possession of marijuana. 2007 possession of cocaine in the 3rd degree. And a 2008 grand theft in the 3rd degree. FTAs, 2 FTAs from 2006, probation violations from 2008, 2009, 16, and 2020. The last arrest was January 3rd, 2020 out of DeKalb for probation violation. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge. This is a, So I'm not sure if I heard this, but there was a December 22 arrest for terroristic threats and acts, in which, I'll get to that in a moment, Judge. This is a battery of substantial physical harm that occurred on July 7th of 2021 at the incident location of 5401 Old National Highway, apartment 1104 in Atlanta, Georgia. The victim in this incident is Miss Tercia Robin, Tersea, last name Robbins. Your Honor, the defendant and Miss Robbins are ex-boyfriend and girlfriend. Miss Robbins went over to the defendant's house one night when they were dating, and the defendant was annoyed or had been annoyed throughout the day because he believed that Miss Robbins was cheating. She was not being very talkative. And she had received a text message while they were sitting in one part of his apartment. She received the text message, and when she refused to show the defendant who it was, he snatched the phone. And when he couldn't find out, by looking through the phone who it was, he began beating her in the face with a closed fist. As she continued to use her elbows to try and block his blows. He called her a B word and then began to hit her in the legs and her back. She was finally able to convince him to let her drive him to his cousin's house. And as she described to the officer, that was the only way to get the defendant to stop beating on her. She walked to the door of his cousin's house crying. And when she spoke with the officer, she eventually told the officer that she was scared for her life. The officer did take pictures on her body cam and described in the incident report as visible bruising and swollen injuries to the right side of her face, and also observed the blackening, or that her eye was blackened on the right side. She ended up going to the emergency room. Was out of work for a week as a result of the defendant's actions. And I did look at the pictures, and they were described to a T. Your Honor, the December 22 arrest for terroristic threats and acts is a felony that the DA is handling. And I believe, I'm not sure, I believe he had a hearing for that. And I think he was in jail for 37 days on that, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, not that. But anywho, there was a telephone recording of him stating to Ms. Robbins that he's going to kill her. And so for those reasons, Your Honor, and with the convictions that he's got in his past for the aggravated assault and armed robbery, we're asking for a $10,000. He had first appearance today. My apologies. And we're asking for a $10,000 cash bond, a stay away from the incident location, no further contact with Ms. Robbins, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Okay, Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Trammell Howell is 36 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He is the proud father of two children, ages 17 and 13. They're both sons. He has been married for about 6 months. Your Honor, he earned a GED, and he is currently employed as a kitchen manager at McDonald's. However, Your Honor, it is foreseeable that Mr. Howell will lose his job because, as I've been informed, he received no bond in felony this morning for terroristic threats. He is presumed innocent. He strongly denies these allegations. He states that he is the person who has, in fact, been harassed by Ms. Robbins. He states that he has not seen her in over a year, and that Ms. Robbins has been, in fact, been threatening him, trying to make his life miserable. And he also has evidence that Ms. Robbins has been harassing his wife as well, Your Honor. Regarding any state's evidence, the defense has not had any chance to view any of it. He is presumed innocent in this case, Your Honor. I am asking, given the date of this allegation, it's July 7th, 2021, that Your Honor grant my client a signature bond, being that he will basically be sitting in jail on no bond status. And if Your Honor determines that he's eligible, then I would ask for a more reasonable bond, no more than $1,000. We are unopposed to any no contact conditions, as my client does not want to have any contact. Your Honor, one thing that I did not clarify with my client, I do apologize, regarding the incident location. I just need to find out from Mr. Howell if his current residence, well, actually, no, I answered my own question. We are unopposed to the stay away at the incident location, Your Honor. So in closing, I'm requesting a signature bond, or in the alternative, a bond of no more than $1,000. We are unopposed to any no contact and stay away orders. Thank you, Your Honor.
And Judge, we're going to oppose the signature just simply because, I mean, it's the same victim, even though it was back in 2021. This happened just last month, and it's the same victim.
Okay, it's going to be a $5,000 good bond, no further contact with Ms. Robbins, stay away from the Old National Highway address, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Howell.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And who do we have next?
Position 13, Zachary.
Good afternoon, Ms. Zachary. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Zachary, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000059E with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No, Your Honor, this is the first arrest.
All right, Ms. Select.
Yes, Your Honor. On January 4th, 2023, Officer Wilson was dispatched to 295 Wilson Mill Road in Atlanta. When he arrived on the scene, he made contact with the victim in this case, Shante Zachary. That's spelled S-H-U-N-T-E, Zachary, Z-A-C-H-E-R-Y. Ms. Zachary stated that her live-in daughter, the defendant in this case, woke her up out of her sleep because she was upset and she heard her yelling and throwing things around the house. Ms. Zachary stated that her, she confronted her daughter about the items that she had been throwing around the house. And at that time, Ms. Zachary had to try to restrain her daughter from hitting her. Officers observed visible injuries to Ms. Zachary. They observed lacerations on her forearm and right hand due to having been scratched by the defendant. Officers also spoke with the defendant outside of the house, who stated that she was upset about family issues that had occurred, and she admitted to getting physical with her mother. The defendant also stated to officers that she wanted to kill her mother and she wished that she would just die. At that time, the defendant then threw a large riding toy car at the front door of the residence. And all of that last part there occurred in front of officers, and she was placed under arrest at that time. The defendant is 18 years old. Although she does not have any criminal history, the state is going to be requesting a $3,000 surety bond on this case. We have serious concerns about her saying to officers that she wanted to kill her mother and that she wished she were dead. We're also going to ask for no contact and a stay away from the incident location, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We're also going to ask if she hasn't graduated that she be enrolled in school or have gainful employment. Nothing further from the state at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Woodbury.
Yes, Judge. So Miss Zachary, she is 18. She tells me that she's a student at Georgia State University studying engineering. So we definitely want her to be able to get out and to be able to continue her studies there. She tells me that she could live with her grandmother and aunt. Judge, this is her first arrest. I think there's probably a lot more complex issues going on, and she would maintain her innocence. At this stage, we would ask for a signature bond.
Shante Zachary, I see that this is your opportunity to address the court if you like to, you're not required to, but if you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay, it does not appear that Ms. Zachary would like to address the court. As such, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No, Zachary, stay away from the Wilson Mill Road address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she might have there. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, Ms. Zachary.
Position 2, Canty.
Good afternoon, Ms. Canty. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited. Good afternoon, ma'am. State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Canty, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000062J with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. Defendant has 5 cycles. Appears to be on probation out of Dawson County for theft by shoplifting. Sentenced December 16, 2022 to 5 years, 130 days confinement and 4 years, 7 months, 20 days probation. That's out of Dawson County. There are 2 holds, Your Honor. There's a hold out of Lawrenceville, Georgia for a vehicle theft case and a hold out of DeKalb County for a shoplifting case. And nothing. The last arrest was December 19th of this year for unlawful to possess, display, or use fraudulent documents. That's out of Forsyth County, Your Honor, and that appears to be an open case. Nothing further.
So,
Yes, Judge. So that is correct. There's 3 pending cases, 1 out of DeKalb County. There's also the one in Gwinnett, the hijacking of a motor vehicle in the second. That's what I was able to find out. It has not been indicted yet. And then the unlawful fraudulent documents charge. Your Honor, this happened. This is a theft by taking charge that happened on December 14th, 2021, where the defendant met up with Mr. Quentin Nixon, who was a victim, on a Tinder date at a restaurant with another individual. When they both sat down, the defendant grabbed Mr. Nixon's phone and ran from the table. Mr. Nixon inquired as to what was going on and was initially told that the young lady ran to the bathroom, but he knew that to be false as he saw her running in a different direction. The other individual then went outside and the pair ran up the street and got into a vehicle with another male. Approximately 7 days later, the investigating officer followed up with the driver of that vehicle as somebody got the tag number. And it was an Uber driver that the defendant had hired and used that, I guess, as the quote unquote getaway vehicle. After following up with the Uber's information, the officer was able to contact the defendant's father, who confirmed the defendant's identity, which also matched the Tinder profile that the victim showed the officer. And thus he was able to determine that it was her that stole his phone, which was approximately worth $1,100. And that's how much he paid for it to be replaced, because he never got it back. There's currently a $2,500 surety. Seeing as she, number one, has ran from this situation for quite some time, posing a flight risk. She's also got a theft by shoplifting out of Dawson County that she was just recently convicted for, along with the other open cases. We're asking for the surety bond of $5,000, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, no further contact with Mr. Quentin Nixon, and that's Quinton Nixon, Nixon, and a stay away from the incident location, which was 1085 Holcomb Bridge Road in Roswell, Georgia. Nothing further from the state.
What is 1085 Holcomb Bridge Road? What business?
Your Honor, I believe it was a restaurant. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a Longhorn, but I'm not sure. I'll find that out before opposing counsel goes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Jasmine Canty is 22 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area her entire life. She does have family here. However, she doesn't have any support to bond her out of jail. Miss Canty completed high school. She is unemployed at this time, Your Honor. She has been in custody since August 6th, Your Honor. She's been in Fulton County. I believe she was transferred here yesterday from Dawson County. Prior to becoming incarcerated, Your Honor, she was working as a security officer unarmed at Georgia Tech. She strongly denies the allegations, and I would ask, given the time that my client has been in custody, the date of this offense, from my notes, I have December 14th, 2021. And of course, from my notes as well, this appears to be an Exxon location, 1085 Holcomb Bridge Road. I'm requesting a signature bond on Ms. Canty's behalf so that she can deal with the holds that she has. This is a nonviolent offense. She's presumed innocent in any and all open cases. Your Honor, we are unopposed to any no contact and stay away provisions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, did you get?
It was the Exxon location, Your Honor.
Okay. $2,000 good bond, no further contact with Mr. Nixon, stay away from the Holcomb Bridge Road address, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Canty.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry to chime in, but the actual incident occurred at a La Parranda, LAPARRANDA. Officers were dispatched to that Exxon, but the actual theft by taking occurred at that restaurant.
Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you, Ms. Salet. And I have that we still have a Tyrone Ivory, position number 6.
Yes, Your Honor, that is my case. I filed a waiver appearance for him.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gant. It's a criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
Yes, Your Honor. 92 cycles. Convictions, 2009. The latest conviction was in 2021 out of Fulton County. Possession and use of drug-related objects. 2019, disorderly conduct. 2019, theft by shoplifting, criminal trespassing. 2018, criminal trespassing. Also 2018, disorderly conduct. 2017, disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. 2017, possession and use of drug-related objects. 2015, theft by shoplifting. 2015, criminal trespassing. 2012, criminal trespassing. Also 2012, disorderly conduct. Felony convictions include a 2019 possession of cocaine and a 2012 theft by shoplifting, 3 probation violations and 1 FTA. This was all in the past 10 years. Would you like for me to go back further in 10 years?
No, you're fine, Ms. Harvey. Thank you. Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge. This is a criminal trespass that occurred on January 4th, 2023, where the officers were dispatched to 3657 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia, which is the Texaco gas station, where the defendant was found cursing and yelling at the cashier. The defendant had been criminally trespassed from this location multiple times in the past, and the most recent time was April of 2022 when he was caught shoplifting. The defendant has a very extensive criminal history, as we just heard, and with the 3 probation violations and 1 FTA, we are concerned that he would be a flight risk and a risk of reoffending. The bond is currently set at $1,000 surety. We're asking for $1,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, and a stay away from the incident location.
Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Tyrone Ivory is 55 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He does have 3 children in Atlanta, Your Honor, they are all over 18. Mr. Ivory completed high school. He also studied business operations in college. He did not obtain a degree. He states that he is self-employed, has been so for 10 years in home improvement. He denies the allegations. He's presumed innocent. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Ivory's behalf. Your Honor, he's informed me that he has high blood pressure. He's really not feeling well. He states that he's unable to get his medication. So I would ask for a signature bond so that he can be released to receive appropriate medical treatment. And we are unopposed to the stay away, Your Honor. Thank you.
Is he residentially challenged, Ms. Gant, or have some other issue?
No, Your Honor. He lives in Lithonia, Georgia. I do have an address for him. The issue is, of course, that he has just unmanaged high blood pressure.
I'm gonna leave the bond where it is, $1,000 good. Stay away from the Texaco gas station on MLK Drive, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, that appears to complete the 2 o'clock calendar. So when Ms. Bridgewater is ready, we'll go over the calendar.
Okay, I'm ready. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be January the 19th. Position number 1 is reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through the jail. Position 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 3 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 4, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 5 is going to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 good bond. Position 6, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 7, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through the jail. Position 8, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through the jail. Position 9 is being reset for tomorrow's calendar because of behavior actions or whatever. 10 is reset further notice with a $3,000 total SOB through the jail. 11 is reset SAP with a $5,000 good bond. Position 12, reset further notice with a $4,000 SOB through the jail. And position 13, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through the jail. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections?
I have a question, not about the bond conditions, but please identify the defendant who was represented by private counsel, if any.
I don't show any on today's calendar.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll see you all next time. Have a good evening. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you.